The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. That old saying is not just about pain, it is about awareness. The one who caused the damage moves on like nothing happened, but the one who was paying attention remembers the tone, the timing, the small hesitation, the careless word, the pattern that appeared before the damage ever became obvious. That is how life works. Most people do not lose because they lack intelligence. They lose because they are asleep while reality is speaking. They hear words, but miss intentions. They see events, but ignore patterns. They feel emotions, then mistake those emotions for truth. They collect information, but never turn it into advantage. Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power does not belong to the person who sees the world as he wishes it was. Power belongs to the person who sees the board as it actually is, understands the players, waits for the right moment, and moves without hesitation. A genius sees the game. A strategist positions himself to win it. Number 1. Notice what others ignore. Average people only see what is loud. A mastermind sees what is quiet. That is where the advantage begins. Most people walk into a room and see the obvious. The chairs, the faces, the noise, the surface mood. They hear what people say and assume that is the whole message. But a strategist sees differently. He notices the phone placed face down, the coffee cup left untouched, the person who laughs half a second too late, the voice that tightens when a certain name is mentioned, the small pause before someone answers a simple question. None of these things scream for attention. That is why weak minds miss them. Weak minds are addicted to obvious signals. They need drama before they understand danger. They need betrayal before they understand character. They need collapse before they accept there was a pattern. A sharp mind does not wait that long. Machiavelli would have called observation the first law of power. Before you speak, observe. Before you trust, observe. Before you attack, observe. Before you reveal, observe. Reality is already giving you information. The problem is that your ego keeps interrupting the signal. Psychologically, the brain filters most of what happens around you. It does this to protect energy. But if you never train your attention, you will only notice what your old identity was conditioned to notice. Approval, rejection, threat, comfort, and anything that feeds your emotional habits. That is not intelligence. That is autopilot. A strategist slows down judgment. He does not rush to call someone loyal because they smiled at him. He does not call someone dangerous because they disagreed with him. He does not confuse charm with character or confidence with competence. He watches longer, because the longer you observe, the more performance begins to crack. Imagine this. You are in a business meeting. One person speaks smoothly. They sound confident. They promise results. Everyone else is impressed by the performance. But you notice something else. Every time responsibility is mentioned, they become vague. Every time numbers are discussed, they redirect. Every time someone asks for specifics, they lean into charm instead of clarity. The room hears confidence, you hear avoidance. That is the difference between a spectator and a strategist. Here's what most people never notice. People reveal themselves in the small moments they do not think matter. Not in the speech, not in the apology, not in the polished explanation, in the quiet moments. How they treat someone who cannot help them. How they react to minor inconvenience. How they talk when they think nobody important is listening. How they behave when there is no reward for looking good. That is where character leaks. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look beneath the surface. Let not the several quality of a thing nor its worth escape thee." That is not soft philosophy. That is strategy. Look beneath the surface. Watch what repeats. Trust what does not match. Slow down your need to decide. The old identity walks through life, half asleep. The new standard studies the room. Weak people wait for proof so obvious that everyone can see it. Strong people notice early. Average people hear words. Strategic people hear tone, timing, pressure, avoidance, and motive. The first person to notice what others ignore becomes the first person to prepare while others are still comfortable. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I notice what others miss. Number 2, read patterns before they become problems. One mistake is data. A repeated mistake is a forecast. Most people are too emotionally weak to admit this. They keep treating repeated behavior like isolated accidents because accepting the pattern would force them to act. Someone lies once. They explain it away. Someone disrespects them again. They call it a bad day. Someone fails them for the 5th time. They say, maybe they are just going through something. No. Maybe you are refusing to see what has been obvious for months. A river does not flood because of one rainy day. It floods because water has been building quietly while fools keep staring at the sky, pretending each storm is separate. That is how most damage enters your life, slowly, repeatedly, predictably, then suddenly. Machiavelli understood that people are not best understood by their speeches. They are understood by recurring behavior. A single moment can lie. A pattern has less room to hide. A promise can be performed. A habit is recorded. Psychologically, human beings are vulnerable to recency bias. This means the latest emotional event can overpower older evidence. A sincere apology today can make you forget 6 months of the same behavior. A dramatic gesture today can make you erase a history of neglect. A strong promise today can make you believe the future changed when the pattern did not. That is why manipulators love dramatic moments. Drama resets weak judgment. A strategist does not reset so easily. He counts repetitions. He weighs frequency over intensity. He understands that a boring habit repeated 10 times carries more truth than one emotional speech delivered beautifully. Number 3, hear the intention beneath the words. Words are costumes. Intentions are the body underneath. Most people get controlled because they listen only to sentences. They hear what someone said and immediately react as if the words were complete truth. That is childish. A sentence is not just information. A sentence is a move. It has timing. It has direction. It has a desired effect. It is trying to make you believe something, feel something, ignore something, defend something, or do something. A strategist does not ask only, "What did they say?" He asks, "What is this sentence trying to accomplish?" That one question changes everything. Machiavelli understood that language is often used to shape perception. People speak to reveal, yes, but they also speak to hide, soften, pressure, redirect, flatter, provoke, and control. Not every kind word is kindness. Not every concern is care. Not every apology is accountability. Not every compliment is respect. Not every question is curiosity. Sometimes a question is a hook. Sometimes advice is control. Sometimes concern is fear dressed as wisdom. Sometimes honesty is cruelty looking for permission. Psychologically, communication carries more than content. Tone, timing, hesitation, pace, and body language often reveal what the polished sentence tries to conceal. Words can be rehearsed. The nervous system leaks. Watch the mismatch. Now comes the dangerous part. Some of you have been controlled your whole life by language that targets your weak spots. Guilt language, loyalty language, family language, love language, spiritual language, success language. People learned what words make you bend, and now they use those words to guide your behavior while you call it your choice. Wake up. If a phrase makes you abandon your boundary, study it. If someone's disappointment controls you more than your mission, study it. If the fear of being called selfish makes you betray your future, study it. You are not free until you can hear words without obeying the emotional command hidden inside them. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am free from the strings. Imagine someone says, "You've changed." The old identity panics. It explains. It tries to prove it is still the same. It shrinks so the other person can feel comfortable. The strategist hears the intention. Maybe the sentence means, "Your growth threatens my access to the old version of you." So he responds with calm, "Yes, that was the point. That is power." Napoleon understood the force of words and perception. Armies do not move only because of weapons. They move because men believe a story about victory fear, honor, and destiny. Language gives direction to behavior. That is why you must listen carefully. Not because everyone is evil, because being naive once can cost more than being alert 100 times. Number 4. Think 3 moves ahead before you act. A fool asks, "What do I want right now?" A strategist asks, "What happens after this?" That is the gap between impulse and power. Most people ruin their lives one emotional decision at a time. They send the message because anger wants relief. They say yes because guilt is uncomfortable. They quit because frustration is loud. They expose their plans because excitement wants applause. They return to the wrong person because loneliness feels like proof. Then consequences arrive, and they call it bad luck. No, it was bad calculation. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I think 3 moves ahead. Imagine this. Someone disrespects you publicly. The old identity wants to strike back instantly. He wants the room to know he is not weak. He wants to win the moment. So he reacts, loud, fast, emotional. Maybe the old identity feels powerful for 10 seconds, but 3 moves later, he has lost something bigger. Now everyone knows he can be moved. Now the attacker knows which button works. Now the room remembers his emotion more than the insult. He won the spark and lost the frame. The strategist plays differently. He pauses, he observes, he calculates. Is silence stronger here? Should this be handled privately? Should I let this person expose themselves further? Should I respond with one cold sentence? Should I redirect the frame entirely? He does not move to feel better. He moves to improve position. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I hold the frame. Number 5. Turn information into advantage. Information unused is not power. It is mental decoration. This is where many smart people expose themselves as weak. They notice everything. They understand people. They read books. They analyze behavior. They predict outcomes. They have sharp opinions about every system, every person, every opportunity. Then they do nothing. They collect awareness like a trophy. But a trophy sitting on a shelf changes nothing. A strategist asks a harsher question. What does this information change? If it changes nothing, you did not use it. You only consumed it. Information has a shelf life. Early, it can become leverage. Late, it becomes trivia. There are people who saw opportunities before everyone else and still lost because they waited until the information became obvious to fools. Psychologically, insight can create a false sense of progress. The brain rewards understanding. That is why people watch videos, read books, discuss strategy, and feel powerful without changing behavior. They confuse mental stimulation with transformation. Analysis can become procrastination. You keep thinking because moving would expose you. You keep refining the plan because execution would destroy the fantasy that you are secretly brilliant. At some point, more information is not preparation. It is fear wearing intelligence as a mask. A strategist converts. If he learns someone is unreliable, he changes access. If he notices a skill becoming valuable, he trains before the crowd. If he realizes his habits are producing weakness, he changes the system. Not someday, not when it feels perfect, now. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I use what I know. Number 6, control emotion. When the decision matters most, the moments that matter most are the moments emotion gets loudest. That is the trap. When stakes are low, everyone looks wise. Everyone talks about discipline. Everyone says they are calm. Everyone quotes stoicism. Everyone thinks they are rational. Then pressure arrives. Betrayal, rejection, a confrontation, a major opportunity, a public insult, a financial risk, a painful truth. Suddenly, the real ruler appears. For most people, it is not reason. It is fear, anger, pride, loneliness, guilt, desire, wound, and loud emotion makes weak decisions. Strategy wants distance, so create distance. Pause, breathe, name the emotion. Say internally, this is anger, not I am anger. This is fear, not I must obey fear. Naming emotion creates separation. Separation creates choice. Choice creates power. Now comes the dangerous part. Some of you have let temporary emotion sign permanent contracts. You sent the message at the peak of rage. You accepted the offer at the peak of excitement. You returned to the wrong person at the peak of loneliness. You quit at the peak of frustration. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am the master of my state. A captain who panics during a storm does not weaken the storm, he weakens the ship. A strategist does not make his biggest decisions from his worst internal state. He asks, would I still choose this tomorrow? Would the calm version of me agree? Is this decision protecting my future or just relieving my discomfort? If the decision is serious and the emotion is extreme, he waits. If the moment demands action, he acts from principle, not impulse. Number 7. Wait strategically, then act without flinching. Patience without action becomes fear. Action without patience becomes impulse. A strategist masters both. He waits until the moment is right. Then he moves completely. This is where most people fail. Some move too early because uncertainty feels unbearable. They cannot sit with silence. They cannot wait while pressure builds. They cannot allow conditions to mature. They act not because the moment is ready, but because waiting makes them uncomfortable. Others wait too long. They see the opportunity, they read the pattern, they understand the opening, they know what must be done. Then doubt arrives. What if I am wrong? What if it is too soon? What if I need one more sign? What if I fail? And while they negotiate with fear, someone less prepared but more decisive takes the position. That is the tragedy of intelligent cowards. They saw it, but they did not take it. Machiavelli understood timing. Strategy is not just what you do, it is when you do it. The right move too early can fail. The right move too late can become irrelevant. Timing is not decoration, timing is part of the move. Psychologically, uncertainty creates discomfort. The brain wants closure. Moving too early relieves anxiety. Waiting too long avoids risk. Both can feel safe in the short term while destroying advantage in the long term. Strategic patience is different. It is active waiting, watching, preparing, positioning, sharpening, gathering, strengthening, not hiding, not sleeping, not pretending delay is wisdom. Imagine a hunter. If he moves too early, he scares away what he waited for. If he never moves, he starves while calling himself patient. The hunter survives because he knows when stillness serves the mission and when stillness has become weakness. That is the final lesson. See clearly. Wait correctly. Move decisively. Here's what most people never notice. Opportunity punishes the unprepared and the hesitant equally. If you are not ready when it arrives, it passes. If you are ready but afraid to move, it still passes. The world does not reward potential. The world does not care that you almost acted. The world does not clap for the man who saw the door and stood there asking fear for permission. A mastermind prepares before opportunity appears. He builds the skill before it is needed. He builds reputation before he needs access. He builds discipline before pressure arrives. He studies the field before the game begins. He positions before the crowd knows there is a race. Now comes the dangerous part. Some of you are still calling hesitation being careful. You are not being careful. You are protecting the fantasy of who you could be. As long as you do not act, you can imagine yourself as brilliant, capable, misunderstood, secretly powerful, full of potential. But the moment you act, reality gives feedback, and feedback terrifies the weak. So they wait, and wait, and wait, until the opportunity dies. Then they blame timing, the market, other people, bad luck, or circumstances. No, they froze. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am ready for reality. When the moment arrives, move. Not recklessly, not emotionally, not blindly, but fully. A half move exposes you without empowering you. A half decision creates risk without force. A half commitment carries pressure without direction. When you decide, decide. When you move, move. When the door opens, stop admiring the frame and walk through. The old identity waits because fear feels safer than proof. The new standard prepares, waits, and strikes. Weak people move too early or too late. Strong people read conditions. Average people wait for guarantees. Strategic people act on strong probability. The right moment is useless to the man who still needs permission from his fear. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I see it and I take it. The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. And now you know why that matters. Memory alone is not power. Awareness alone is not power. Seeing the pattern alone is not power. Power begins when what you see changes how you move. That is what separates a mastermind from an ordinary thinker. That is what separates a mastermind from an ordinary thinker. An ordinary thinker notices what is obvious. A mastermind notices what others ignore. An ordinary thinker reacts to events. A mastermind studies patterns. An ordinary thinker hears words. A mastermind hears intention. An ordinary thinker moves from emotion. A strategist thinks 3 moves ahead. An ordinary thinker collects information. A strategist turns information into advantage. An ordinary thinker collapses under pressure. A strategist controls emotion when the decision matters most. An ordinary thinker waits for certainty. A strategist prepares, watches, waits, and acts without flinching. This is not motivation. Motivation gives you a temporary feeling. Identity replacement gives you a new operating system. The old identity reacted to life. The new identity reads it. The old identity trusted words. The new identity trusts patterns. The old identity moved from emotion. The new identity moves from calculation. The old identity waited for permission. The new identity waits for timing. Machiavelli was not teaching people to become cruel. He was teaching them to stop being blind. Stoicism was not teaching people to feel nothing. It was teaching them to keep the mind clear while the world becomes loud. So now you decide. Will you keep walking through life half awake, shocked by things you could have seen coming? Or will you become the person who notices early, waits correctly, and moves so calmly that everyone wonders what you already know? Like this video if this made you see something differently. Subscribe for more videos about Machiavelli mindset, strategy, emotional control, silence, power, and identity transformation. Share this with someone who thinks too much but still moves too little. And drop this final affirmation in the comments. I see clearly, I move strategically. Remember this. Seeing is not enough. Move correctly or stay exactly where you are.